grade 12 learners, welcome to today's mathematical literacy lesson. My name is Khululiwe Chuma. This lesson is brought to you by the Northern Cape Department of Education in collaboration with Phakama Research and Development. Today we are going to look at the topic on measurements, and the subtopic is conversions. And our lesson objectives for the day you have to be able to convert within and between metric and imperial measurements. Convert temperature, convert time, or calculate time differences. Calculate speed, distance, and time. This we obtain from the KEPS document from page 63 to page 67. Right, the pre-knowledge that you are expected to be having as you start on this topic is the knowledge of calculating volume of various shapes, knowledge of how to pack or stack things in spaces and or containers, prior knowledge of the three-dimensional figures, especially the identification of length, width, and height, rounding, ratio between radius and diameter, calculator skills, and logical reasoning are knowledge skills that come in handy for the topic that actually contains a strong practical component. So you have to be able to use your calculator to carry out all these calculations that involve volume and finding radius and diameter. Right. Before we can even begin the new concepts, I take it you have knowledge of measurements, the units of measurements for different types of measurements such as mass, length, perimeter, area, and all that. So as a baseline assessment, I'll quickly give you 5 minutes to do this baseline activity. Welcome back, learners. I hope you were able to carry out that short activity. It's something that's not new to you. Now let's look at the solutions. What were you supposed to do in answering these particular questions? The mass of a phone is 187 grams. Determine the mass in kilograms. Right. What we simply have to do is to convert 1 kilogram to grams and then make it a fraction of the 187 grams. So there we have it, 187 grams over 1 kg equal to 187 grams divided by 1,000 grams, because we all know that 1 kg is equal to 1,000 grams. You all have learned that in your primary school lessons. When you punch that on your calculator, it gives you 0.18 kgs. So that is the mass in kilograms. We go to the second question. A cereal box contains 0.45 kilograms of oats. A normal serving is 30 grams. How many savings can be obtained from the box? So we want to find out how many savings are in the box. The same thing that we're going to do. The mass of the total contents in the box divided by each saving. So the mass is 0.45 kilograms. We divide by 30 grams. This equals to 450 grams. How did we obtain that? We divided our 0.45 kilograms. We divided that by 1,000 grams to get we multiplied by 1,000 grams. Remember, we are changing to a smaller quantity. So when we're changing to a smaller quantity, we multiply. But when we're changing to a larger quantity, we divide. So 450 grams, we divide by each saving, which is 30 grams. What do we get after punching our calculator? It's 15 savings. So one box contains 15 savings. Let's move to the next one. Number 3. The picture alongside shows a set of different bed sizes. Do 2 single beds make 1 double bed? Okay. Let me zoom this for you. Right, as you can see, the bed sizes are of the same length. Whether it's double, whether it's a queen, it's a king, the length is the same. It's 188 centimeters. What differs is the width of each bed. As you can see, the width increases as you get to a bigger size, from single to king. So we want to verify if 2 single beds make up 1 double bed. How do we find out? Right. We are saying 1 single bed is of width 92 centimeters, meaning 2 single beds will be 92 centimeters times 2, giving us 184 centimeters. What about a double bed? The width of a double bed is 137 centimeters. So comparing the two figures, 184 centimeters made up of 2 single beds is not equal to 137 centimeters, which is for 1 single double bed, which is 1 double bed. So we can safely say 2 single beds do not make 1 double bed. As you can see, their width is much longer than that of a double bed. Right, I hope you got that correct, class. Let's move on to today's lesson. We'll start with the terminology. First, conversion. What is conversion? From the word convert, a change from one system or unit to another, just like we were doing, changing grams to kilograms, changing kilograms to grams, centimeters to meters. That's conversion. A conversion factor, these are values used to convert quantities or changes from one measuring system to another. When you are changing from your centimeters to meters, when you are changing from your grams to kilograms, when you are changing from any other system of measuring to another, that is a conversion factor. And we realized that for you to change from kilograms to grams, you have to multiply by 1,000. That's the conversion factor. When you change from centimeters to meters, you multiply by 100. That's the conversion factor. Degrees Celsius. These are units used to measure temperature in most countries. Degrees Celsius. We measure the temperature, the weather temperature, the temperature of our stoves, the temperature of our ovens, of our, if you have been in rooms where there are air conditions, you find they are in degrees Celsius. In your refrigerator, there are markings that show the number of degrees Celsius which you have set your refrigerator. An analog. An analog measuring instrument displays values by the position of a needle or hands on a dial, e.g. an analog clock or scale. Those kind of clocks where you have your numbering from 1 to 12. Those are called analog clocks. Digital. A digital measuring instrument is an instrument that displays values in numbers or digits, e.g. a digital scale. You are just seeing numbers. A digital watch, you will see numbers, maybe 02.30. That's a digital watch. Distance. Distance means how far it is from one place to the other. You are measuring the distance between 2 points. The length is the measurement between 2 points in a straight line. So that's the difference between distance and length. So distance is from one place to another. So it can be here up to there. This is still distance. But with length, I am measuring points in a straight line. That's why we measure distance maybe from home to school. It's not a straight line. But when you are measuring the length, we measure the length of a wall because it is a straight line. Elapsed time, time that has passed since the start of an event. So from the beginning of the event to the time when the event ends, that's what we call elapsed time. We go to another term, imperial system. An imperial system is a system of measurement using inches, pounds, feet, gallons, and miles. That's what we call the imperial system. Then we have the metric system. The metric system is a system of measurement that uses meters, liters, kilograms, and etc. The one that is very common for most products that we find in shops. Their sizes are in kilograms, they're in grams, they're in meters. That's the metric system. It's a very common system that we use. And then measure. Measure is using an instrument to determine a size, weight, or whatever type of measurement you want to find. Measuring, that is determining the value of a quantity directly. For example, reading the length of an object from a ruler or the mass of an object from a scale. Mass or weight. It is an indication of how heavy an object is. So mass is sometimes known as weight. Like when they are asked, how much do you weigh? You give your units in kilograms, which are SI units for mass. Volume. Amount of space occupied by a substance, that is volume. Capacity, the amount of space available to hold a substance. Then let's look at the conversion from the metric system within the metric system, the one that we are used to. When we're converting length, the smallest unit of measuring length is millimeters. From millimeters, we move to centimeters, to meters, to kilometers. So when you move from millimeters to centimeters, you divide by 1,000. When you move from centimeters to meters, you divide by 100. From meters to kilometers, you divide by 1,000. Simply put, what it means is we have 1 kilometer being equals to 1,000 meters. We have 1 meter being equals to 100 centimeters. We have 1 centimeter being equal to 10 millimeters. So when you are moving from the smaller unit to a bigger unit, you divide. Now when we come from kilometers, converting them to meters, we multiply by 1,000. From meters to centimeters, we multiply by 100. From centimeters 2 millimeters, we multiply by 10. Right, let's convert mass within the metric system. So the smallest unit for measuring mass is milligrams. I hope you've seen that in especially items like your medication, your tablets, they are measured in milligrams. You find it's written paracetamol 500 milligrams. That's the smallest unit of measuring mass. Then follows grams, kilograms, and tons. So when we are moving from tons to kilograms, we multiply by 1,000. From kilograms to grams, we multiply by 1,000. From grams to milligrams, it's also by 1,000. So what it simply means is 1 ton is equal to 1,000 kilograms. Your 1 kilogram is equal to 1,000 grams. 1 gram is equal to 1,000 milligrams. That is how we convert within the metric system when measuring mass. Let's go to capacity. Capacity, our smallest unit is milliliters, then liters, then kiloliters, then megaliters. Right, when you are converting your megaliters to liters, to kiloliters, you multiply by 1,000. From kiloliters to liters, you multiply by 1,000. From liters to milliliters, you multiply by 1,000. So I'll simple do just one, where I say 1 liter is equal to 1,000 milliliters. Right, that is within the metric system. Let's look at what is new to you. Now we are converting from imperial to metric. So as you can see, this is imperial. It's measured in inches, foot, and miles. Especially your phone screen sizes, you always find them written in inches. Then we have foot. You've always heard about the size of graves, that they dig it up to 6 feet underground. So that's the measuring of length of the size of the depth of a grave. Miles, you've heard about miles, although we're used to kilometers, but there is also another unit of measuring distance, which is miles. So 1 inch equals to 2.5 centimeters. 1 foot to 30 centimeters. 5 miles to 8 kilometers. That is how these are equated. The imperial equated to the metric. Then we go to capacity. Capacity usually is the measurement of your liquids. 1 pint equal to 570 milliliters. 1 gallon equal to 4.5 liters. 1.75 pints to 1 liter. Right, let's move to weights. Imperial, we have pounds and stones. 1 pound equal to 450 grams. 2.2 pounds equal to 1 kg. 1 stone equal to 6.3 kilograms. Now we look at the conversion of temperature from degrees Celsius to degrees Fahrenheit and vice versa. So you are given that in degrees Fahrenheit, the equal of degrees Fahrenheit is equal to 1.8 times whatever amount you're given in degrees Celsius plus 32. So that is how we obtain degrees Fahrenheit. So for you to find degrees Celsius, given degrees Fahrenheit, what you simply do, I know you have done equations in your lower grades, your grade 7, your grade 8, 9. So you are able to make degrees Celsius the subject of this formula. How do we do that? We want to bring everything to this side so that we remain with just the degrees Celsius. So the additive in the inverse of plus 32 coming this side becomes negative 32 equal to 1,8 times degrees Celsius. Now for us to remain with this, since this is multiplication, so we'll look for the inverse of multiplication, which is division. So we are going to divide by 1,8 both sides. What do we get, class? We'll remain with this into that gives us 1. So we remain with degrees Fahrenheit minus 32 all divided by 1,8, which is what we have here. So when you are converting from Fahrenheit to degrees Celsius, this is what you use. And when we are converting from Celsius to Fahrenheit, this is what you use. Then measuring time. Well, time is such an obvious and the most common thing that we have learned ever since we were young. So we all know that the smallest unit is seconds. So seconds make up a minute. Minute is 60 seconds. Then from minutes, we have an hour, which is equals to 60 minutes. Then a day with 24 hours. A week with 7 days. Days make up months. And a month is generally 4 weeks. But months vary in days. We have months with 28 days, 28 or 29, depending on the type of year. We know if it's a leap year, February has 29. If it's a normal year, February has 28 days. The rest of the months are 30 or 31 days. And then a year has 12 months, 52 weeks or 365 days. Except on a leap year, we have 366 days. Then we have a decade made up of 10 years, and a century made up of 100 years, right? Now let's look at elapsed time. Elapsed time is simply calculating the duration of an event. Like in this case, you are asked that the amount of time that has passed between the start of an event and the end of an event. For example, suppose you go to a party at 5:45 p.m., which is 5:45 in the evening, and leave the party at 11:15, which is 11:15, the same day. So determine the time spent at the party. So the party started at 5:45, as you can see from the analog display there. So it started at 5:45 and ended at 11:15. The elapsed time is 5 hours, 30 minutes. How do we calculate that? Let's do it the subtraction way. Let's have our hours and our minutes. So it ended at 11:15. It started at 5:45. Right. How do we subtract this? When we are subtracting time, we don't do it like when we're subtracting our units from tens and all that. This, we take it as one whole. This is 15 minutes. It's under the minute column. It's under the minute column. So this is 15 minutes. So we cannot subtract 45 minutes from 15 minutes. What do we do then, class? We take away an hour from the hours column. After borrowing an hour from the hours column, we add this hour to the minute column. And when 1 hour moves from the hour column to the minute column, the hour is now 60 minutes. It's no longer 1. It's 1 hour on the hours column. But when it comes to this side, it becomes 60 minutes. Therefore, 60 plus 15 will give us 75. I will rewrite this now. I have my hours and my minutes. If I subtract 1 hour, I'll remain with 10 hours. If I add 60 minutes, I will now have 75 minutes. Subtract 5 hours, 45 minutes. This gives me 5 minus 5 will give me a 0. 7 minus 4 will give me a 3. 10 minus 5. So I remain with 5 hours, 30 minutes. That's the elapsed time. I hope we are following me, learners, right? Now, let's look at tips or hints that we have to take note on when working with conversions. Because most of the time I've noticed we mess up things. We mix up units. Sometimes we mix up measurements of different systems like metric and imperial. So what are the hints? What is it that we have to follow to make sure we are on the right track? Step 1. Find whether we are converting to a smaller unit or a larger unit than the current unit. That one is especially important when you are converting within the same system. For example, are you converting from milliliters to liters? Are you converting from kilometers to meters? If you are moving from a smaller unit to a larger unit, you divide. Remember, class, when you are moving, for example, let's say you're moving from meters to kilometers, you will have to divide because you are moving from a smaller unit to a larger unit. So you will have to divide your meters, you divide them by 1,000. Then you get your kilometers. Are you moving from a larger unit to a smaller unit? What do? You multiply. Suppose you want to move from millimeters to centimeters. You have your millimeters. You want to move to centimeters. Sorry, you have your centimeters. Right, so I was saying, suppose you want to change from a larger unit to a smaller unit. So from a larger unit, say centimeters, to millimeters, what are you going to do? You are going to multiply. So the trick is from larger to smaller, we multiply. From smaller to larger, we divide. Then this would give you your millimeters. Let's move to the next step. If the new unit is a smaller unit, find what quantity is the new unit equivalent to the current of the one in the current unit. You want to find out. You are changing from kilometers to meters. How many meters are there in a kilometer? You are changing from kilograms to grams. How many grams are there in 1 kilogram? So you have to know how much of the current quantity is there in the other quantity that you're looking for. Step 2. Compose the conversion factor as a fraction. Use the two equivalent quantities we found in step 1. When you've converted, you know that 1 kg is 1,000 grams. 1 meter is 100 centimeters. So you are now using that factor. that you found. And then the numerator is the quantity in the new unit. The denominator is the quantity in the current unit. You understand this as we go through the examples that we're going to work out shortly. Then now, step 3, multiply the given quantity by the conversion factor to find the equivalent quantity in the new units. Right. Let's look at the activity there. The screen size of an iPhone is 5.5 inches. Convert the screen size to centimeters. So remember, we said we have to deal with the given quantity first. And we make that a fraction of what we intend the quantity that we are given. So we want our screen size in inches. Let's write this. Screen size, we want it in centimeters. But we are given the screen size in inches. So from our hints there, we have to make the conversion factor a fraction of the units that we are working with. So if you look at this, we have the screen size in centimeters over the screen size in inches. So going to the left hand of our equal sign, our conversion factor should be centimeters over inches. So we come to this conversion. So centimeters will be 2.5 centimeters. And in inches, it's 1 inch. Then we work it out as this. We want to find the screen size in centimeters. That's what we are looking for. That's what we do not know. The screen size in inches is given as 5.5. Then our conversion factor is 2.5 over 1. Because we are saying 1 inch is equal to 2.5 centimeters. Right. You know this from your earlier grades. So we are dividing by 5.5. So the inverse will be to multiply both sides by 5.5. Multiplying both sides by 5.5 will give us the screen size in centimeters being equal to 2.5 over 1 times 5.5. Punch that in your calculator, learners. What do you get? Make sure you always carry your calculator into the lesson. Right. Punching that in your calculator, you should be able to get 13.75. What are the units, class? We wanted the size in centimeters. So this is our screen size in centimeters. So this is how we work out our conversions using this is what we have as our conversion factor. Let's move to the next activity. The largest gold bar ever manufactured weighed over 500 pounds. Convert the weight to kilograms. So we want to convert the weight to kilograms. What are we given? We're given the weight in pounds. So our fraction will be the weight in kilograms. You always start with the quantity that you're looking for. So we are looking for the weight in kilograms. That will be our numerator over the weight in pounds equal to the conversion factor. So let's write that. So this will be weight in kilograms. Our weight in pounds is 500 pounds, right? So our conversion should be the metric over the imperial, because we have kgs over pounds. So we'll have 1 kg over 2.2 pounds. Again, we do the maths. We multiply both sides by 500. Then we're left with weight in kilograms being equal to 1 over 2.2 times 500. Punch that in your calculator, class. What do you obtain? Right, you find your answer as 227.27 kilograms. I've rounded this to 2 decimal places. It was 227.26667. So I round it off to 2 decimal places. Next activity. The average fuel tank capacity for a car is 12 to 16 gallons. Write down the average fuel tank capacity in liters. So we're given an average that which is a range from 12 to 16. So what it means is we're going to change 12 gallons to liters and change 16 gallons again to liters, so that we're able also to give our answer in a range. But now the range is in liters. So let's start with 12. Remember, I said you start with what you're looking for. We are looking for capacity in liters. So this will be capacity in liters. This is what we are looking for. Over what we are given. What are we given? We're given as 12 gallons. Then now we're converting gallons to liters. Our conversion factor, looking at our fraction there, it's liters over gallons. So what is a liter here? 4.5 liters is equal to 1 gallon. So we have 4.5 over 1 gallon. Do the multiplication. So your capacity will be 4.5 over 1 times 12. Then that gives you 54. Right. You do the same for 16. For 16 liters, you have your capacity being equal to 4.5 over 1, which is our conversion factor, times 16. What do you get, class? You get 72 liters. So now, what is our average fuel tank capacity? Our average fuel tank capacity will be 54 to 72 liters. Meaning this 12 to 16 gallons is equal to 54 to 72 liters. Move on again. The diameter of a bicycle wheel is 28 inches. Determine the diameter in centimeters. Still the same way, class. We are looking for diameter in centimeters. So we have diameter in centimeters over the diameter in inches. It's already given in inches. It's 28. This will be equal to the centimeter over the inch. So centimeters will be 2.5, inches 1. If you multiply that, your 2.5 times 28, you should be able to get your diameter as, punch that in your calculator, what will you get? 2,5 times 28 is 70 centimeters. So this is the diameter of your bicycle wheel in centimeters, converted from inches. Now, we move from miles to kilometers. Right. Now, we move to miles to kilometers. So our question is, the distance between New York and Washington, D.C. in the United States of America is 227 miles. Convert the distance to kilometers. So what are we looking for? Distance in kilometers. We write that down. Distance in kilometers over the given distance in miles will be equal to our conversion factor. We are converting we're converting from miles to kilometers, and 8 kilometers is to 5 miles. So it's 8 over 5, right? And class, please take it into consideration. If your denominator is in kilometers, so is your conversion factor. If your denominator is in miles, so should it be in your conversion factor. So make sure the numerator is the same units for the conversion factor and what you are working out. That way you will never go wrong. You will never make a mistake. So what we get after multiplying will be 8 over 5 times 227. Let's multiply that, class. Let's punch our calculators. What are we going to get? Right, this is 363,2 kilometers. We go to temperature. A tourist read on the internet that the hottest temperature in Winterveld, Tshwane, is 34 degrees Celsius. Convert the temperature to degrees Fahrenheit. So we are going to use this formula. We want to change to degrees Fahrenheit. So the temperature in degrees Fahrenheit will obtain by the formula 1,8 times the temperature in degrees Celsius plus 32. What do we get, class? You punch that in your calculator, you should be able to get 93,2 degrees Fahrenheit. Right. Another question. The hottest night on record in the United Kingdom is 101,7 degrees Fahrenheit. Convert the temperature to degrees Celsius. Now we are converting to degrees Celsius. We use this formula. So we are given the temperature in degrees Fahrenheit. It's 101,7. Subtract 32. Then divide everything by 1,8. What do you obtain, class? This should give you 38,72 degrees Celsius. Right. Always make sure you put the units in your answer. Don't just leave it as 38,72. Cookies are baked at 360 degrees Fahrenheit for 20 minutes. Convert 360 degrees Fahrenheit to degrees Celsius. Rounded off to the nearest 10 degrees Celsius. So we have two questions to answer here, class. First, you have to convert from degrees Fahrenheit to degrees Celsius. After finding out how hot is your oven in degrees Celsius, you convert again that answer to the nearest 10 degrees Celsius. Let's start by converting 360. We use our formula. 360 degrees Fahrenheit, subtract 32 all over 1,8. What are we going to get, class? We are getting 182.22 degrees Celsius. This is our first answer. We have converted. We've answered the first question. Now let's go to the second question. Rounded off. We have to round off. When we're rounding off to the nearest 10, we look at the units. In the units there, what do we have? We have a 2. So 2 is less than 5. What happens when the number is less than 5? We round it down. So our 182.22 rounded off to the nearest 10 is 180 degrees Celsius. That's the second answer. Right, let's go on. Now let's look at a typical exam question. These are the kind of questions that you usually find. We'll find that in our junior examinations. We'll find it in our trial. We'll find it in our final examination in November. So get used to this type of questions. They are quite easy to answer. The more you try them, the better you get. Below is a recipe that Michelle uses to make the rusks for her husband. Write down the amount of butter in grams you need to make 25 rusks. So you are just writing down. Write down. Meaning there's no calculation. You just look at the recipe. Okay, I want the amount of butter. This is the amount of butter. I just write it down and I get my 2 marks. Can you imagine how easy it is to pass your exam? We go to the second question. Write down the amount of butter in kilograms. Now we are converting. We are saying 1 kilogram is equal to 1,000 grams. Since we want to convert from grams to kilograms, grams are smaller. So we are moving from smaller to larger because we're moving from grams to kilograms. What do? We divide. So we are going to divide by 1,000. So our 500 grams of butter divided by 1,000 grams will give us 0.5 kilograms. Convert the mass of the self-raising flour as indicated in the ingredients to grams. Now we are moving from kilograms, right? Our self-raising flour is in kilograms. So we are moving from kilograms to grams. We are moving from larger to smaller. So we are going to multiply. So 1.5 kilograms times, what is our conversion factor? 1 kg is equal to 1,000 grams. So we are multiplying by 1,000. This gives us 1,500 grams. Next, Michelle wants to bake 50 rusks. By how much must she increase the amount of the ingredients? Right. Looking at this recipe makes up 25 rusks. So for Michelle to make 50, what will be our conversion factor? So she wants to make 50 rusks. Remember, I said always start with the amount that you want. She wants to make 50 rusks. But the recipe gives us our measurements for 25. So this will give you 2. Meaning we have to increase by factor 2. Increase each amount by factor 2. Michelle calculated that it will take her an extra 40 minutes to mix all the ingredients and shape them into bowls. At what time must she start mixing the ingredients if she wants to put the rusks in the oven to bake at 1535? So she needs 40 minutes preparation. What are we going to do? Now we're going to look at what will be the time 40 minutes earlier than 1545. Let's subtract. We go again and do what we did initially. Hours and minutes. We have 15 hours, 35 minutes. We want to subtract 40 minutes. But we can't take 40 minutes from 35 minutes. What do? We borrow an hour from the hours column. We add the borrowed hour now in minute form. We add it to the minute column. And what do we get? We get 14 minutes because we've taken 1. And now we have 75 minutes because we added 95 minutes, because we added an extra 60. Subtract 40 minutes. What do we get? This gives you 5. 9 subtract 4 gives you 5. And then this is the time that Michelle has to start mixing the ingredients at 14:55. Then we look at the last question. This should be the last question. Michelle has a friend in America. America is one country where they use this imperial system much more than any other place in the world. So she wants to use this recipe. Her oven is in degrees Fahrenheit. So convert 180 degrees Celsius to degrees Fahrenheit. We are given the formula. This is the formula to use. So we will put our degrees Fahrenheit, our degrees Celsius, which are given there, is 180. We multiply by 1,8 and add 32. What do you get in your calculator class? This should give you 356 degrees Fahrenheit. So this is the temperature that Michelle Friends has to set her oven. Right, I hope you were able to follow through how we do our conversions within the metric system and from metric to imperial and vice versa. Now, here is some homework for you to carry out. Tabang decides to sell lemonade, homemade lemonade, at an event in school. They are having a rugby tournament. So first question is, you have to calculate how many cups of lemonade you'll be able to sell. Remember, he has made 5 liters of the lemonade. and selling them in 250 milliliter cups. Then this one is how much money he will make when each cup is 5 rand each. So try that question, try it with your friend, and get as much exposure and practice. To summarize the lesson for this day, please keep it in mind. These are the hints to follow. How do you know what quantity to start with when solving problems? I said you start with the one that you are in need of. If the question asks you to find the length in centimeters, you start with that, right? So start with the quantity given in the problem and not the conversion factor. In general, the first quantity in your unit analysis will not have a denominator. That's in general. But you noticed that when we're changing miles to kilometers, the denominator was not a 1. Then many of you students usually ask, should I enter all the numerator numbers into the calculator before the denominator numbers, or should I enter each conversion factor into the calculator before I move to the next conversion factor? Well, our calculators are now smart. No, most of our gadgets are now smart. So whichever way you enter, you still get the answer. So either style of entering the numerical quantities will work. But you should make a decision to always use one style of entering numbers into the calculator. This helps you avoid skipping a number when calculating an answer, right? Right, so that's it for today, learners. Look forward to our next lesson where we'll look at perimeter, area, and volume. Thank you for participating in this lesson. I hope you gained as much. Try as many questions as you can. Right. Thank you.